Overcoming anxiety, a self-driven approach. Welcome to Become Self-Driven. I'm really glad you found your way here. And if I had to guess, anxiety has probably been making a bit too much noise in your life lately. Maybe you constantly second-guess yourself, avoid situations, or feel overwhelmed by things that shouldn't be that hard. Maybe you cancel plans at the last minute because your chest tightens at the thought of going. Or you stay quiet in meetings, even when you have something valuable to say. Whatever it looks like for you, I get it. I really do. Anxiety can feel like you're totally fine one moment, and then boom, your heart races, your thoughts start spiraling, and panic sneaks in like it owns the place. I know because I've been there, and I know exactly how it feels to walk around with a tight chest and a mind full of what-ifs. To miss out on experiences, friendships, growth, and not because you didn't want to, but because it all felt like too much. And then comes the regret for all the things you didn't do, for who you didn't get to be. And worst of all, that voice in your head whispering, why can't you just get it together? Like I said, I know exactly how it feels. But I also know what it's like to take that first small, shaky step, to push through, even when everything inside you is screaming no, to speak up, show up, to try again, and to slowly reclaim your life. And that's exactly what this class is about. But before we dive in, I want to say something, and I hope it lands deep. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not broken, you are not weak, and you are definitely not alone. Anxiety doesn't show up because something is wrong with you. It shows up because it is trying to protect you. It's like that overprotective friend who means well, but texts you 37 times a day just to make sure you haven't spontaneously combusted. Helpful? Kind of. Exhausting? Definitely. What I am trying to say is that anxiety is trying to help. It just gets a little carried away. But when it starts calling the shots in your life, when it decides what you can and can't do, that's when it's time to change how you respond to it. So, what are we really doing here? Let's start with what this isn't. This isn't one of those just think positive pep talks. It's not about pretending fear doesn't exist, and it's definitely not about telling you to just calm down. Because let's be honest, has that ever helped anyone mid-panic attack? This is about understanding your anxiety, not fighting it, not ignoring it, but actually listening to what it's trying to say. Here's what we'll explore together. What anxiety really is and why it shows up. Why do we cling to it, even though it makes us miserable? Why it's okay and necessary to let it go. And most importantly, how to actually do that. And by the end of this class, you'll have a clearer understanding of what your anxiety is really trying to tell you, and you'll know how to face it with more clarity, courage, and confidence. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to be brave enough to listen and take one small step forward. The strength you need, it's already inside you. You just need the right tools to unlock it. This class is part of the Become Self-Driven journey, and it's designed to give you real tools, fresh insights, and hopefully a few aha moments that shift how you relate to anxiety starting today. And if you're willing to be honest with yourself, if you're willing to show up, even when it's uncomfortable, and do the work with me, you might be surprised how quickly things start to shift. All right, let's begin by inviting your anxiety into the room. Not to fight it, not to judge it, just to observe it, like a scientist running an experiment. All you need to do is be neutral, open, and curious. Think back to the last time you felt anxious. Where were you? What were you doing? What was going through your mind? What were you afraid might happen? Pause the video and write it all down. You can grab a notebook or open a doc, whatever works best for you. But don't just think about it. Write it out. It doesn't have to be perfect, just honest. Writing helps slow your thoughts and clarify what really happened. And there is no need to fix anything yet. Just notice. What is anxiety and why does it show up? Now that we've brought your anxiety into the room, let's get curious about it. Anxiety is your brain's way of trying to keep you safe, by imagining every possible way something might go wrong, even the ones that definitely won't happen, but still keep you awake until 4 a.m. Think of anxiety as a personal bodyguard, but one that's way too intense, and always assuming the worst. And that bodyguard whispers, what if they don't like me? What if I screw up? What if I say something awkward and everyone laughs? Here's the thing, anxiety evolved to protect us. That bodyguard used to be useful, Back in cave days, it helped us survive. It made us run from danger, avoid poisonous berries, and stick close to the tribe. And anxiety still goes off today, but now it gets triggered by things like getting an email that says, "We need to talk," or seeing those typing bubbles appear, but no message comes through, or having to speak in front of 3 people, and suddenly your brain acts like it's DEFCON 1. The danger isn't physical anymore, it's emotional. We fear failure, rejection, judgment, not being enough. It's because our brain doesn't know the difference between a real threat and a perceived one. It doesn't stop to ask, is this fear rational? It just wants to keep you safe, so it triggers the alarm, and suddenly you feel it in your body. Your heart races, your chest tightens, your mind spins, and once anxiety takes over, even the tiniest tasks can feel massive and exhausting. Now, as annoying as it is, your anxiety is actually trying to help in its own dysfunctional, over-exaggerating way. It's saying, be careful, something could go wrong, even when nothing is actually wrong. But for sure you can see how, in a weird way, anxiety is trying to protect you. It's just gotten too good at its job, and in doing so, it keeps you stuck, and it makes you miserable in the process. There's a quote I love from Mark Twain that says, "There has been a tremendous amount of tragedy in my life, and some of it actually happened." Sound familiar? We've all done it. We anticipate pain, we worry about outcomes, we replay imagined disasters, we suffer emotionally even when none of it actually happens. How many times have you imagined the worst, worried yourself sick about something, and it never even came true? So while anxiety may be trying to help, it ends up making you feel bad most of the time, and that is no way to live. Let's go back to that recent moment when anxiety showed up. What was going through your mind? I'm going to mess this up. Everyone will think I'm awkward. Forget it. It's probably better if I don't say anything. Now ask yourself, what was your anxiety trying to protect you from? It could have been embarrassment, disappointment, getting hurt, looking foolish, being judged. Take a moment, pause the video, and write it all down. Writing really does make a difference, I promise. Get it out of your head and onto the page. And try to be really honest, even if the answers surprise you. We're still not trying to fix anything yet. First, we just want to understand. We want to find the why behind the worry. This is your chance to get to know yourself better. So don't rush. Take your time. And when you're ready, come back and continue. Why we hold on to anxiety and how it serves us. Here's something most people never realize, and honestly, I didn't for a long time either. Sometimes we hold on to anxiety because a part of us believes it's helpful. Sounds ridiculous, right? Anxiety feels awful. Who would want to keep that around? That's like saying, yeah, I know this raccoon in my attic is making a mess and keeping me up at night, but technically it's watching out for intruders. The truth is, we don't just do what feels good. We do what feels safe and familiar, what feels like it might protect us, even if it also makes us miserable. Let me give you an example. Imagine anxiety as a smoke alarm in your brain. It's loud, it's annoying, and it goes off all the time, even when you're just making toast. But if you take the batteries out, part of your brain jumps in like, okay, genius, but what if the house actually catches fire tomorrow? What then? So you leave it in, because annoying plus safe feels better than quiet and unprepared. That's what anxiety does. It convinces you, if I keep worrying, I'll be more prepared. If I stay anxious, I won't get hurt. If I overthink, maybe I'll get it right this time. If I stay tense, at least I'm in control. But anxiety doesn't stop there. It hands you a few sneaky bonuses. The illusion of control. A built-in excuse to stay in your comfort zone. A way to avoid failure, rejection, or even being truly seen. A reason to play it safe instead of risking vulnerability. It's like having an overworked, overly dramatic assistant in your brain, constantly sounding the alarm, even when nothing's actually wrong. And after a while, you're just exhausted, spinning your wheels and asking yourself, why can't I just pull it together already? But here's the part you probably haven't asked yet. How is anxiety helping you? I want you to really think about it. Pause the video and ask yourself, if I stop worrying, will I let my guard down? If I let go of anxiety, will I become careless? Isn't anxiety the reason I'm not messing up more? You're not weird for thinking this way. You're human. We all develop these little mental survival strategies, and they once protected us, but now they might be holding us back. So ask yourself, In what ways is anxiety actually serving me right now? Because it is, or it wouldn't still be there. Does it help you avoid confrontation? Does it give you a reason not to take action? Does it make you feel more in control, even if that's just an illusion? Answer these not with judgment, but with awareness, and then go one step further. What do you think anxiety is protecting you from? Failure, embarrassment, feeling not good enough, being truly seen. Write it all down, or say it out loud, whatever helps you get it out of your head and into the light. Because the truth is that we don't hold on to anxiety because we love it. We hold on to it because letting go would mean we'd have to step up, show up, try, risk something. And yeah, that's scary. That's why so many people stay safe, trapped in their small, uncomfortable comfort zone, avoiding rejection, avoiding risk, trying to control everything so nothing can go wrong. But in doing that, they also miss out on connection, growth, joy, confidence, adventure. They miss out on life, everything that makes life worth living, because the same things that protects you from pain also keeps you stuck. Real freedom requires vulnerability. It takes courage and stepping outside your comfort zone. And yes, that can feel scary. But staying safe, that has a price too. Are you really willing to keep paying that price, giving up growth, connection, joy, and freedom just to stay comfortable? I think you already know the answer to that question. It's time to let go, not of the fear itself, but of the story that says you need anxiety to survive. Why it's time to let go and choose courage instead. All right, by now, you've probably recognized two big things. First, anxiety isn't just something that happens to you. It has a purpose. Second, it's actually been useful. It's something you've been using, often without realizing it, to keep yourself safe. And hey, credit where it's due. Anxiety's done a pretty good job in its own way. It's helped you avoid pain. It's made you more careful. It's kept you inside your safe, comfortable zone. Good. But now, let me ask you something. And I want you to really feel this, not just think about it. What has anxiety been costing you? What moments have you backed out of, and not because you didn't want them, but because fear whispered better not? What opportunities have you walked away from simply because it felt safer not to try? What relationships have you held back in because you were afraid of being hurt, afraid of being seen for who you really are? How many times have you stayed small, not because you didn't want more, but because being visible felt too risky? We all do this. We avoid the hard conversations, the new chances, the risks that might actually change everything, not because we're weak, but because we're scared. And that's okay. That's human. Let's try something together. Close your eyes for a second. Take a deep breath. Now imagine yourself 5 years from now, and nothing's really changed. You're still avoiding the same discomforts, still listening to that anxious voice in your head. What if you fail? What will they think? Still hesitating to speak up, still replaying old mistakes, still sitting on your dreams, dreams you haven't chased. How does that future feel? Heavy, lonely, resentful? You see what I mean? Now let's try something else. Picture yourself again, 5 years from now, but this time you started choosing courage instead. Not confidence, courage. You started doing the small things that scared you, on purpose. You spoke up in meetings, tried new things, messaged that person you like, said yes even when your voice trembled. You stopped hiding behind the what-ifs, and you started showing up. And then something wild happened. You didn't just survive it. You grew. You began building what anxiety could never give you: self-respect, self-trust, and real grounded confidence. Because confidence doesn't come from never feeling fear. It comes from learning that you can feel fear and still move forward anyway. Ask yourself, who would you become 5 years from now if you started living like that? What kind of life would you be creating? A life rich in experience, not fear. A life full of memories, not regrets. Now, how great would that be? You don't need to be fearless. You don't need to have it all figured out. All you need is courage, and courage can be built. How? It's actually pretty simple, by taking bold action, and that's exactly what we're diving into next. Taking bold action, exposure and shame attacking exercises. All right, now that you've started loosening anxiety's grip, It's time to get a little bold. This is where we stop tiptoeing around fear and start walking through it. Because here's the truth. Confidence doesn't come before action. It comes after. You don't wait until you feel ready. You build readiness by doing the thing you're afraid of, little by little, until your brain learns, oh, I guess that wasn't actually dangerous. What is exposure? Exposure means deliberately doing the things that make you anxious, but in a safe, controlled, and intentional way. It's like building a muscle. You wouldn't expect to bench 200 pounds on day one, right? And this is no different. You build emotional strength bit by gently leaning into discomfort, not by forcing or overwhelming yourself. Here's what exposure might look like. You fear speaking up in meetings. Exposure. Share one opinion, even if your voice shakes. You fear rejection. Exposure. Ask someone for something small and risk hearing no. You fear looking awkward. Exposure. Wear something silly and don't explain yourself. It's not about being fearless. It's about proving to your nervous system that fear doesn't get to run the show anymore. Now, every time you face a fear on purpose, you send your brain a powerful message. I can handle this. I'm not in danger. And two amazing things happen. First, you realize the worst-case scenario rarely happens, and even when it does, you survive, you grow. And second, you discover you're way more capable than you thought. Now, how awesome is that? Shame attacking, a bizarrely brilliant practice. Yes, it's a real thing, and yes, it sounds ridiculous, but stay with me. Shame attacking comes from cognitive behavioral therapy, and it's actually a fun and freeing way to break out of anxiety and fear of judgment. It's all about doing small, slightly awkward things, in public, on purpose, in order to break the fear of what other people think, like singing out loud while walking down the street, or asking a stranger for directions to a place that doesn't exist. Silly things, harmless things, things that your anxiety would normally scream, don't do it. But that's the point. If exposure is about confronting fear, shame attacking is about confronting shame and judgment. Shame and anxiety, they go hand in hand. They feed off each other. And shame attacking is how you break that loop. Why it works? Because it flips the script in your brain. You start to realize other people's opinions don't define you. The world doesn't end if you do something silly or imperfect. That cringy moment you were dreading, it comes and goes. And little discomfort won't kill you. Besides, you might even end up laughing, like really laughing. Each time you do it, you're rewiring your brain. You're proving to yourself, I can handle this. You become more resilient, more relaxed, more you, and over time, you get comfortable being uncomfortable, and that can change everything. The fear of judgment is like a cage. Shame attacking is how you break out. You must try it. You don't need to be ready, you just need to be willing. Some examples of shame attacking exercises are: smile at strangers and say hello. Stand on a street corner and start singing. Do 10 jumping jacks or push-ups in a public space. Dance in a crowded place without caring who's watching. Shout out the time in a grocery store. Lie down in a public area, like a pedestrian zone, for 1 minute. Walk through a crowd and try to get as many high fives as possible. Walk backward in a crowded place for 3 minutes. Ask strangers on the subway if they can spare $5. Drop a handful of coins at a crosswalk and take your time picking them up. Ask people at a restaurant if you can taste their food. Wear a funny wig in public. Choose one that feels uncomfortable but doable, not overwhelming. Then make a plan. Pick a time, pick a place, and do it. Feel the awkwardness, feel the fear, do it anyway. Because once you stop fearing how you look, you start living how you want. What happens after? After every awkward, silly, or brave moment, you grow. You feel lighter, braver, freer. And suddenly, you start becoming the kind of person who says, I feel fear, and I do it anyway. And that's how confidence is built. That's how self-esteem grows. And best of all, it spills into other areas of your life. Your work, your relationships, your choices. Now you might be thinking, but will this work for my kind of anxiety? Yes, it will. Because the principle is universal. The more you face the fear intentionally, the less power it holds. Here's how it applies. Social anxiety. Practice being seen, being imperfect, and surviving judgment. Fear of public speaking. Share small things and build up slowly. Fear of rejection. Ask, hear no, and realize you're okay. OCD and compulsive checking. Exposure helps you tolerate uncertainty. Specific phobias like fear of dogs, elevators, or flying are no different. Step-by-step exposure trains your brain. This is not about forcing yourself to get over it. It's about training your brain to see the truth. You realize, this isn't dangerous. I can handle this. And honestly, I'm kind of proud of myself. And that's how anxiety begins to loosen its grip. You stop living under its rules, and you start building a bigger, freer, fuller life. All right, let's wrap it up. Take a deep breath. You've just done what most people avoid their whole lives. You sat with your anxiety, you questioned the story it's been telling you, and you started choosing courage over avoidance. That's not just growth, that's power. You now understand that anxiety is your brain's way of trying to protect you. Avoidance has kept you safe but small. Bold action is what moves you forward. Before you go, reflect. What insight hit you the hardest? What's one thing, even tiny, you'll do differently starting today? Who are you becoming when you stop letting anxiety lead? Now try to really visualize that version of you. See yourself walking taller, speaking up, laughing more, making choices not out of fear but freedom, trying new things, setting boundaries, saying yes and meaning it, saying no and feeling no guilt, living a life full of stories, not regrets. That version of you, it's not imaginary, it's already inside you, just waiting for permission to come out. Now before the day ends, I have a challenge for you. Do something awkward, today. Just one small thing your anxiety usually talks you out of. Something harmless, slightly uncomfortable, empowering. Send that message. Ask that question. Say what you really think. Feel a little afraid, laugh at yourself, take your power back. If you'd like, I've included a downloadable exposure challenge list on the site. Just a fun way to keep stretching yourself. Whether you go solo or bring a few friends, one thing's for sure, you'll have a great laugh and come out braver. You've just tapped into what it means to become self-driven. You've taken your first real step, from living in fear to living with intention. From reacting to anxiety to responding with courage. From holding back to stepping forward with strength. If you felt even the tiniest shift today, then the Become Self-Driven program might be your next step. Because the truth is, anxiety isn't the enemy, avoidance is. And the moment you stop running, the moment you meet fear with courage, even shaky courage, your life begins to change. Your past doesn't define you. Your anxiety doesn't own you. You are capable of far more than your fear wants you to believe. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to be a little braver than your excuses. So if you're ready to keep going, to keep growing, to keep showing up for the life that's calling you forward, become self-driven.